stream today. So happy to have you here. It's seminar. I'm Lauren, and today I am joined by we have Crust with us today. I'm so excited to be chatting with you. Welcome to the live stream. We have a ton of people in the chat. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy that you're here. What's going on?
Thanks, Lauren, for the warm introduction. I'm pleased, and our team is pleased to be here as well to let you guys know what you can do with Crust Network. I'm happy to provide you with a small intro about it, and also here for any questions that might pop up.
Absolutely, yes. So, folks, if you were in the chat, Leon, hello. Frank, hello. Rui, we see you're excited to talk about Crust. That's awesome. The enthusiasm is felt and very much appreciated. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. We will talk about them. We welcome a tangent. We welcome a derailment, if you will. But yeah, so let's, I don't know, where should we even begin? What's this journey like? How do we have a quick one-liner for folks that are curious about what is Crust? How do we want to start? Should I pull up your screen?
Sure. Let's just jump into it, and
Hell yeah.
I maybe can start talking.
Oh my God! Wait, before we even start, your Twitter handle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always a good door opener.
Sure. Yeah, it's a good way to start it off. Okay, cool. Well, okay. So tell me. So you do BD, business development for Crust. What's your journey to joining this team? Tell me about yourselves first and foremost.
Sure. Well, I'm with Crust now for about 2 years.
Okay.
I joined as a community manager, moved towards European ambassador, and now BD lead for Crust Network.
Amazing.
Before I started my journey in Web3, I also was involved in the technical field. More specifically, I was working in Web2 cloud computing for a software as a service startup for business applications. So for me, it was just the next evolutional step from Web2 to Web3.
Yeah, and, I love that.
I'm happy to be here, yeah.
And how big is the Crust team?
At the moment, we have around 20 persons.
Very cool.
Distributed over the entire globe. Our head offices are in Shanghai. Our foundation is in Singapore.
Okay.
Personally, I am located in Germany.
All right.
But we also have some team members at the Bay Area, San Francisco.
Yeah, you have some folks in the U.S. We originally had this scheduled. So, okay, I should clarify. It's 10 a.m. where I live. I live on the East Coast, but we had originally booked this with someone on your team that was on the West Coast. So yeah, that would be 7 a.m. Tech check around 6 a.m. for them. It wouldn't have worked out. That was like, being globally distributed is a perk, but also, time zones are tough.
Exactly.
We have a Hello Krusty. Is that a nickname for Crust? I don't know if that works. Crust is, that you can teeter towards some funny nicknames, I'm sure. East Coast, yes. So yeah, we have lots of everyone. So happy to have you here and chatting with us today. But yeah, okay. So what's Crust? Let's start there.
Good question.
Thanks.
Yeah, let's start there. So to put it very simple, Crust is a layer 1 blockchain built on Polkadot substrate framework for a specific use case, which is decentralized storage.
Okay.
And decentralized storage is something that maybe doesn't enjoy the hype.
Storage is sexy. Stop it. No, do not give yourself that credit. We have a coin question really quickly. If crew will be available. That's your coin, CRU?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I read the question. Actually, we are working on it.
Okay.
We are in the process of opening multiple channels with other pirate chains to actually launch or list our token at the decentralized exchanges in the Polkadot ecosystem. So just be a little bit more patient with us. We're working on a channel with Moonbeam, with Equilibrium. We already opened one, but there's more to come, and we're also working on this.
I should have asked you, are you going to be at Decoded in a month now? I realize it's so soon.
I will indeed, and we also will be represented at the showcase stage with with a speaking slot, and I personally will also join the summit, which is 2 days ahead of you.
Oh my gosh, see you so soon. I love that. Okay, back to Crust. Yes, so you were a decentralized cloud storage protocol, and it's based on one of my favorite acronyms. Oh, I should say, on this stream, we try our best to not use jargon to, when we use a word or term, to define it so that folks who are relatively new to the space don't feel left out. So if we ever are referencing IPFS, we should hear it now that it's interplanetary, right?
I
Interplanetary
will,
file
yeah,
system. Okay.
correct. But yeah, no, I will get to that. I'm
Yeah.
happy to provide you with all infos that are needed to get the point. If there are any questions, feel free to pop it in. If you don't
Yeah.
understand something, if I need to explain something more in detail, let me know.
Jafar we were chatting with Jafar 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about his journey to learn Rust. So that's amazing that you are learning Rust. You've got it now. You're an expert. All right, we need you. Please apply today.
Yeah.
And thank you for the answer for the coin. Yes, appreciate it so much. TLAs that can, okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. We don't love acronyms. We're trying to be welcoming. I thought that you put GT, go, the phrase that, or the acronym that I always thought stood for go to the moon, or go, TG, let's go. I think it means like let's go to market. No, wait. Actually, now I'm forgetting. But yeah, there's some that I like forever will be confused about. So yeah. All right. Let's just then dive in. Yes, this one, LG. I always thought that stood for going to the moon. I don't think it does, but anyway, it's easy to get confused. Anyhow, so let's dive in. Let's do it.
Cool. Yeah. So welcome again from my side, and thanks for joining this live session. I hope you will learn something interesting and something you also might be able to utilize down the road, especially if you're building in the Polkadot space yourself. But before we go into what Crust Networking specifically is and how we solve specific problems, I would like to look at our motivation, the importance of decentralized storage, maybe even the evolution of storage.
A history lesson? I love it. Take me there. Okay.
A little bit.
We're trying to like make storage cool, is what we're. That's our goal.
It is indeed.
It's cool.
And maybe you see it the way I do after this presentation.
Yes. We'll be dreaming of storage solutions.
I'm quite sure everybody has seen this evolution from Web 1 over Web 2 to Web 3. And I like to draw this analogy for storage systems as well. And in the beginning, we had local storage. So we had like huge data centers in companies. We had in our private homes, we had like a lot of HDDs where we kept our data locally, which was really good because we were in full control of the data. We had all the ownership of the data. But on the other hand, it was inconvenient or to some degrees even very costly because, again, you needed the hardware. It wasn't very flexible. You needed someone to maintain the hardware and so on. And then we moved towards Web 2, where we saw centralized cloud storage services popping up, AWS, Google Cloud, Dropbox. This was very convenient because for the very first time, we were able to experience the anywhere and anytime principle to access our data.
Yeah, suddenly we could pull it up on our phone and have that. Yeah, absolutely. And it's probably a solution a lot of folks are familiar with that are watching right now.
Yeah, and we do enjoy it because of the really nice usability, and it's quite reliable, but it also comes with some downsides. And
for sure, it's incredibly problematic. Tell me why.
Yeah, and one of these downsides, for example, is that like unless with the former stage with local storage, we don't have the ownership over our data anymore. And this means basically that if AWS or Google doesn't like what you store on their servers, they might be able to censor it. And that's something we don't want. And on the other hand, they are the ones using our data to put that into user profiles and to sell this data down the road to other data houses and monetize basically our data, our user behavior. And that's something we don't want in Web 3. With Web 3 now, we have basically the possibility to combine advantages out of both the local storage, respectively the ownership part of the local storage, and the convenience from the centralized cloud storage, the anywhere, anytime principle, to have like replications, but all while maintaining the ownership over our data. And that's exactly what we want, because when we talk about Web3, then we say the biggest differentiator to Web2 is actually the part of the ownership. And
Exactly.
so, yeah, and we do that for a lot of assets, NFTs, tokens, and so on. Even our liquidity positions, we can have our ownership and proof of ownership, but in most cases we don't do that for our data yet. And looking at Web2, and most of the data in Web2 is actually user data, then it's the wrong direction we are going. And we want to have that with the power of the power should be with the user. Yes. And not with some centralized institution that could gatekeep our data and whatnot.
No gatekeeping here. We want that solution. I'm bought into the vision. Hopefully you in the chat are too. We have a question that Jafar, I promise we will get to. I think we're still in the part about like discussing why this is a solution in itself. But then we'll definitely get to the point in which we can talk about how you too can make the most of this solution. So yes, promise to acknowledge it. But yeah, thank you for a summary of why decentralized cloud storage. I think it's a really compelling story, and I think until you have been hit with it's like it feels almost like hypothetical, this idea of being blocked or being censored on that, but I don't think you need to experience it yourself to be bought into why this is necessary. And in fact, like, you shouldn't. So yeah, folks, let me know if this resonates with you. I hope it does.
Yeah, I brought some real world events with us. We
okay.
See of issues we see that evolve from centralized cloud storages, but yeah, we will get to that later. Very good. Before to jump to the next slide, I just quickly want to highlight the graph below, and this actually shows the demand of data storage over time, and it's even forecasted for the future. And we see that like the amount of data stored in the world is growing exponentially. It's even estimated that we double the amount of data every 2 to 3 years from now. And this obviously is powered and fostered by Internet of Things, smart devices, artificial intelligence, and a lot of different things. We rely even stronger and stronger on data in the future, and data becomes more and more valuable for all those processes. And that's why we also should treat data accordingly. So, I mean, absolutely. I think that it's not stopping. We need storage. It's going to grow. Totally agree. Cool. We're on one page. Yeah, exactly. Then let's jump to the next slide. And this is also why storage in Web3 is broken. And one part is the decentralization. We have a lot of application services, solutions already running in Web3, running on the blockchain. But most of them still rely on some kind of centralized solutions. Most of solutions somehow need data storage in some form or the other. Right. But they unfortunately often still tend to use the institutional service providers like AWS, Google Cloud, etc. And that's something we want to avoid, because you want decentralization also on the most fundamental layer. And this is like the data layer, the decentralized infrastructure beyond this. And when we have our data just in one data center in somewhere in one location, then we are highly exposed to any kind of single point of failure events. And we don't want that. We want to have replication. We want to have decentralization of our data, and not one party in control. Right. And that's also the part of the data ownership. Another part is the availability. We see that like we have experience with the downtimes of decentralized applications. Sometimes it's not as crucial. In some parts, let's say I have an open leverage position and I can't reach the user interface of my web page because the centralized provider has an outage, one single point of failure event, then like I might get liquidated and might not be able to close my position or to back it up. Yeah, I mean, the example is a silly one, but when the juice things, things can just become
completely lost and someone else decides that. And yeah, I want ownership of it, right? Yeah, absolutely.
True. And yeah, the next part is the availability, the usability and interoperability. Sometimes it's hard to work and to operate with solutions that are already existing, and there's no real interoperability or frictionless interoperability, and that's something we want to change with Crust Network. And yeah, what is Crust Network? Let's get to this point. And as already said, Crust is a decentralized storage protocol, and we utilize the IPFS file system. IPFS stands for Interplanetary File System. It's a new way of addressing data in the web. And the big differentiator between normal, let's say, HTTPS-based addressing of data is that IPFS uses or addresses the data itself and not the location where it's stored. Which means I could, for example, if you're in a room with 10 people, I could say Lauren is, or when I want to talk about you, I could say I want to talk about the person sitting on chair number 1 in row A. Or I could say I want to address Lauren because she is sitting on chair number 1A. And by just addressing the location, you could get up and somebody else could sit down in your chair, but they still address the same location. So the content might be different. And that's what IPFS is solving very nicely with CIDs. They call that content identifier. And this is basically like a normal HTTPS link that points to a location.
Absolutely.
Just instead it points to the data.
And we actually, so wait, let me switch my camera real quick we in the past have you can only kind of see it, but it's the cubbies that I have. We use those as examples sometimes of like we can reference that, and I think it was Kilt that we were talking about it last time, but yeah, so that makes sense, and how we like organize it and the matchmaking service that happens. We have a couple questions in the chat. Don't want to get too derailed, but I want to say here, Richard saying that we love the idea of a decentralized storage to remove the need to use services like AWS. How many dApps are already running on Crust?
Good question. We already have multiple dApps and services running on Crust Network, especially within the Polkadot ecosystem. I have some very specific use cases with me in some slides below.
Yeah.
And you will see the partners.
Yeah. I think you've kind of hooked the audience, because here Aaron references when the NFTs vanished, when FTX servers went offline. Jafar says, okay, well then it sounds like Crust can solve that problem if utilized. So yeah, I think you have made the connection. Folks are into it. We're all, and then it also, if we could test the storage services, how do you know if it's working? That question came up as well.
Cool. Yeah, first of all, to the FTX thing, I want to say, that totally could have been avoided with Crust, because FTX actually allowed people to mint NFTs through their UI, but the issue was they used a centralized service provider to store all the metadata of the NFTs. I don't know if it was AWS or it was Google or whatnot.
Sure.
But when FTX went down and they went bankrupt, then obviously they stopped paying for their services to run their business. And so FTX basically stopped paying AWS or Google Cloud or wherever they had it stored, and they deleted the data, and all data was vanished. And that's, let's say, the link in the NFT contract is still existing, but when I want to pull up this link, it ends at a very expensive 404 error page. And that's something we don't want to have in Web3 when we're talking about digital assets that might be worth, I don't know, 5-6 digits. We want to have a guarantee that that the data stays available. We don't want to put the trust in one centralized provider who has to guarantee the data, has to make sure that my data persists online. We want to have, in best case, a guarantee and with on-chain proof and ownership with ourselves. And that could have been avoided.
Great. So great example then, for sure.
And Crust can be tried out quite easily. Our product is totally live and running, fully operational. So we have different options to try out our product via our decentralized storage market or via our apps like crustfiles.io. It's like a
right,
Dropbox
which we'll get to.
application.
I kind of want to shout this out, this comment. We don't want you to be perceiving Crust as AWS. It's not switching out one for the other. It's a different solution that isn't centralized, right? Like that's, it's not just like another version of it though.
It's no, it's not another version of AWS.
Right.
It's a totally different file system.
Exactly.
Depending on the use case, we can't do everything on Crust Network because in some situation and scenarios, centralized service providers still have an advantage, especially when we want to combine it with cloud computing resources and so on. But for most of the use cases, Crust Network can be used just as AWS, but it's a little bit different. It works basically comparable. Yeah.
Okay. So data is fragmented and stored in multiple node locations, and then those pointers are also hashed. From Richard.
Yeah, IPFS fragments the data already, so that's not specific, not Crust specific. What is Crust specific is that we work with a high replica approach, which means we provide you with a lot of replicas distributed over our network. Because in normal IPFS, you don't really have a guarantee over how many replicas you get, and also no guarantee for how long these replicas will stay available. Because the IPFS network in itself is not incentivized, which means everybody providing their resources is doing it on free will. And they have also no real incentivization to hold on to data for a very, very long time. Why would they do so? It costs them money, it blocks their capacities, and might drain their bandwidth or whatnot. So to have this, to make sure that you have this replication and to have your file availability on IPFS, that it doesn't vanish, you need to pin your files. And that's exactly what Crust Network is doing. By pinning your files to our network with a very high amount of replicas. I think on average we have 33 replicas per file distributed on our network. And this also ensures decentralization on the most physical file level, not just on the protocol level.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you for that.
I hope this answered the question.
I think it does, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and we provide such an incentive and service layer for the IPFS framework, which means users or people who want to provide their resources to the IPFS network can join our protocol and provide their resources to our network. In exchange for that, they receive rewards. On the one hand, they receive blockchain emissions, and on the other hand, they receive the actual service fee from providing their resources.
Okay.
And we have a protocol stack in between that basically matches the demand and the supply side. So on the one hand, we have the network, which is our decentralized physical infrastructure, all our storage resources. And on the right-hand side, we have the demand for different cold storage applications, hot storage applications, hosting, file sharing, whatnot. And in the middle, we have our Crust protocol stack and our interoperability layer with different Crust storage interfaces, APIs, software developer kits. We have a storage palette on Substrate, a lot of different endpoints to actually connect with our protocol and to use our storage capacities.
Cool. Yes, Jafar, I think that spot on. So, and you know what? I skipped a question. It's a competitor question. A cache network, and how we differentiate.
I know a cache network. I'm not too familiar with it, but I know they focus more on the cloud computing part or the cloud computing together with storage. But as far as I know, they don't use IPFS. And we specifically...
I don't see anything called out from them about that in their...
Yeah, we specifically chose IPFS because we believe IPFS is the most adopted, by far the most adopted decentralized storage protocol out there. It's battle-proven, and it has by far the most usage. When we look at ARIF, for example, I think the entire ARIF net has a storage capacity of 120 terabyte. And just Crust has a storage capacity of 750,000 terabytes. That's because it's on-chain storage, it's super hard to scale because basically every node has to carry all the data. And so Crust is more scalable. But I don't know exactly about the cache. I could tell you a little bit more about file.
Yeah, I mean, no. It's hard to be able to reference everything out there. So thank you for that. That was a good summary.
You're welcome. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's look at some network metrics. Like I already said, we have 725 petabytes of storage, or 725,000 terabytes. We have at the moment 1,724 nodes that contribute their storage resources to our network. Overall, we have, since our mainnet launch in September 21, already over 1.7 million unique files uploaded.
Nice.
And our storage fee is super cheap, with like below $0.001 per gigabyte.
Nice.
So as you can see, we are very decentralized, even on the most physical decentralized level. Not all storage nodes are also validators. We have a set of 70 validators at the moment.
Nice.
But also those numbers of storage nodes that provide their storage resources. Then how can we help out with looking at the IPFS service landscape? So what we do is we provide Crust IPFS gateway services. So that's basically what you need to upload, to download, to retrieve your data. And Crust uses super fast Thunderbolt gateways. We also just recently launched a community gateway program where we reward people for operating gateways. And the cool thing is you don't have to pay for any retrievals. So you pay for the storage, and this includes all retrievals unlimited.
Unlimited. Wow, I love that.
Then the next one, which is probably the most prominent service, is our decentralized pinning service for IPFS. This basically works the same way like you would use Pinata, for example, when you want to pin your files. And what makes us special is that we have a multi-replica file storage approach with, on average, our 33 replicas, all distributed all over the world. And this also makes the performance better because IPFS can retrieve data from multiple sources at the same time. And obviously, when you have more nodes carrying the data or hosting the data, then you can retrieve it from multiple end sources at the same time. And at the same point, the chance that the node is close to you to improve latency, etc., is higher than if you just had one replica in a centralized data center, again operated by a centralized provider like Pinata.
Yeah, sure. Cool.
And last but not least, we also have different file query services with our Storage Explorer, where we can validate our guaranteed availability, where we can validate the numbers of replicas. We can see which nodes hosts my data, and all of this can be checked out to provide users with full transparency.
Is this correct? It's a monthly storage fee?
No. We have different kind of models. So the minimum storage contract length is 6 months.
Okay.
So and everything above is possible. So you can prepay your storage. You can say I want to add a budget to store this file for over 200 years if I want to. I can say I want to use a kind of subscription-based model where I pay as I go. So I could upload a file, and I can attach or associate my account with this file. And every time this file expires, it will be renewed, and the fee will be taken from my account. So it's like an automatic renewal, if you want so.
Okay.
And this will be extended as long as you say, oh, no, stop extending the file.
Sure. And then we have a question around file corruption.
Okay, that's one of our protocols. That's, for example, we use our meaningful proof of work mechanism.
Yeah.
This is basically a mechanism that runs within the local CPU and we utilize TEE. TEE is Trusted Execution Environment. It's basically an enclaved and secure environment within the local CPU where nobody can interfere with, and that's basically where we do all data processing. At the same time, we have a work inspector that basically checks the nodes for the availability of the data, will form that in a work report, will send that on chain, and there it will be compared with the work reports of other nodes hosting the same data. So there we can then make the comparison and validate that the data is, first of all, still available on the nodes, and B, it's not corrupted or changed in any form.
Cool. Yeah, I hope that answers your question, Richard. We have one more. If an entity paying for storage stops, but I want to still want the file to be available, could I take overpayment for it? So from the community, you're saying, I suppose?
Yeah. You can do that on IPFS, as long as you have the CID. This is the unique content identifier. You could go to our storage market, put in the CID and say, I want to create an order for this specific CID number. And in this case, it doesn't matter if you were the one initially uploading the data or if you are just the one who wants to keep the data online. So in case of FTX, for example, if they had their data on IPFS, even if they would run their own IPFS server, then the community still could have said, hey, send us all CIDs. We will make sure that we pin it with Crust Network, with whatever. And like that way we can keep the data online without you needing to operate your infrastructure. And
Yeah, great question. Awesome. Cool. Well, I want to see this. Are we there yet in our demo or no? Oh, more. Okay.
Yeah, we're getting there.
We're getting there.
Yeah. First, let's talk about who can use Crust Network and how you can use Crust Network.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
So this picture is a little bit outdated. This was from our Crust Shadow network, our parachain for the Kusama network, where we already opened different channels with different projects. But since beginning of this year, we also have our parachain live on Polkadot.
Yay.
And connected. Yay!
Good.
And as already said, we opened. We opened the very first channels with Equilibrium. We are working on it with Moonbeam, and
amazing.
Actually, also Polkadot apps is hosted on Crust Network, at least the user interface.
So cool! I love that. Great shout.
So and we have different SDKs. We have our substrate palette. You can connect with us via XCMP. Many different ways to do it in the most native way possible.
Yeah, and viewers that should be relatively familiar with our audience here. So awesome.
Cool. But we also we are not just limited to the Polkadot ecosystem.
Right, of course, important to shout out this interoperability.
Yeah, interoperability is very important to us. And we do that with, for example, cross-chain smart contracts. So we deploy our own cross-chain smart contract to different ecosystems, for example, Ethereum, Polygon, Aptos, Arbitrum, we recently launched. And people can actually interact with this contract to create storage orders and to interact with our network, which is, again, its own layer 1 chain. But it's just like another endpoint to connect with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But let's look at use cases. I think that's what most of you guys are waiting for.
Sure.
So let's talk about some very popular use cases. And within the DeFi industry, we have a very popular use case, which is hosting of decentralized applications and websites and front ends and all the user interface you basically interact with when you try to visit DeFi dApps. And
apologies to interrupt you. The question about can we specify geographic regions where the data would be stored?
At the moment, we can't do that yet. In principle, it is possible via geofencing. We are thinking about it as well because we try to adhere to regulations, to GDPR.
Okay, is that why? I was trying to make sense of the question of why we would want that. So that makes sense, sure.
Yeah, in some cases, especially when we're looking at B2B, not just B2C, then sometimes we have those kind of requirements.
You have those requests, okay. Interesting. Good question, Dave. Yeah.
It is possible again, but we haven't done it yet.
Okay. TBD, like I love a preview of a roadmap. Okay, I love it.
Yeah, but back to the benefits of decentralized hosting of dApps and applications. One point again, we said the availability and accessibility. So I have some, more or less recent events here, newspaper cutouts that said, for example, major outage hits AWS, many sites affected. Below we have a tweet from. Oops,
Oh, sorry, I'm overtaking it. Oh, no, we can see it. Okay, yeah.
We're back.
Yeah, someone was saying that they want to use Crust, so I was super excited. Richard is asking about an SQL database on Crust, if we can host that, but we'll tackle that because we'll stay on task of use cases now for you. I realize I'm really derailing you. I should always give this as a pre-warning to guests that like.
all good. No, I don't mind it.
Okay,
but quickly to get back to that, SQL databases is quite hard because you can't overwrite you can't just write into an SQL database on IPFS because the files are all unique. So you basically have to create a new file. It would be a new file. And when we talk about data hosting, then we can do that for static data, but not for dynamic data yet.
Good to acknowledge that.
But that's IPFS specific and not Crust specific. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Another cool thing is we saw that the founder of Avi, for example, Stani, he tweeted, it was in January 22, one of the AVE protocol frontend wasn't accessible for me for a few minutes, switched to IPFS and life made sense again. The power of decentralization is insane.
Life made sense again.
And what's funny is that, in fact, we actually host the front end for Avi. We host the front end for Uniswap, Liquidity, and Polkadot apps, and many more. You probably use Crust Network every day if you use Uniswap, Avi, etc. You don't even know it. And yeah, they host their front end via our decentralized infrastructure.
Oh, cool.
In fact, I think Uniswap and Avi even have 70 replicas of their front end distributed through our infrastructure. And enjoy the benefits of 100% availability, reduced exposure to any kind of front-end security breaches like DNS hijack attacks or DDoS attacks, and whatnot we see regularly happening in the DeFi sector.
Cool. Oh, we have another question if we're ready for one.
Sure.
We like the Apollon idea. Me too. Do you want to explain how Crust plays a role in their product?
Yeah, especially when we're talking. It was a good question. Maybe he has some insider info.
I know. I was kind of feeling like, are we leading with that question? Like, do you want to weigh in?
No, all good.
Okay.
Apollon are really good friends of ours of Crust Network. They utilize Crust for different scenarios for their tooling platform.
Yes, actually, and Frank, we should get someone on from Apollon to join the seminar. So let's make sure we do that actually as soon as possible. If anyone is watching and can reach out, please do. But yeah, go ahead.
I can provide you with a contact if needed.
I know, but if anyone's watching is what I'm calling out.
Maybe they are. But there is like something really new in the works, especially looking at website hosting, because sometimes we still experience some issues for users that are not too familiar with IPFS hosting, especially when you want to associate your normal DNS with your IPFS link or with your IPNS and so on. And Crust Network basically focus on providing the technology, providing the resources, the storage, and Apollon is making it as easy as possible for all developers. And you soon can expect a nice service. And we also going to launch an initiative to host decentralized or to host websites and dApps totally decentralized. And this will be launched by Apollon and Crust in combination.
Sounds like a good collab coming up very soon. Also, I should say, Snowmead, thank you for the follow on Twitch. We appreciate you. I know folks are kind of tuning in from all different places, which I love. But yeah, thank you for the follow there.
Cool. All right, what do we have next to DeFi? There's also NFT storage. We already talked about it briefly. So on the one hand, we have the token itself that runs on chain, the contract, and the contract points to the metadata. And the metadata is actually the audio file, the PNG file, the characteristics of it. All of this is stored in the metadata, and this is usually stored off-chain. As far as I don't use ARI, for example.
Yeah, no, good clarification.
And this off-chain part, again, is mostly provided by AWS, by Google Cloud, and others. And we have this link, which is basically pointing to the metadata. And we already said earlier that when I have a location-based address link, then the content behind this location can change. So if I have an AWS link here, and this contract stays like that for the next 50 years, but Amazon or the content creator is not paying for the storage anymore, or Amazon is deciding to host another content behind this link, then you can't reach your NFT. It won't be shown. You can't access the metadata, and it's basically worthless. And that's something we have a solution for. We can store it permanently. You can prepay for your NFT metadata for up to 909 years if you want to. It's fully immutable. It's guaranteed by a decentralized protocol, and it's fully native with IPFS. So it's a very bulletproof solution for NFT.
Yeah, 909. Am I novice on understanding where that number comes from?
Well, when we have like a storage price calculator, and at some point it just says 990 years plus. So
990. Okay, I was like 909 feels very specific. So does 990. Okay.
Oh no, sorry.
Okay, cool. Very interesting.
And we also work with different projects. So Remark, already is working with Crust, and we have Crust NFT. It's like another product we're working on. NFT Go, we work with Ternoa. It's another substrate-based chain, NFT-centric chain. They recently, I think, moved 300,000 NFTs to Crust Network. And yeah, there's a lot of usage and adoption for NFT metadata storage.
And so back to the cost question though, like it's going to totally depend on the usage of it, right?
In which sense do you mean that?
Yeah, I guess we could like hear some more like in depth for this question. So feel free to carry on.
Cool. And decentralized social is another point. We talked about censorship.
Cool.
We saw here recently, that was also not too far away. The data is not shown, but Bankless, a very popular YouTube channel, got censored basically by YouTube without any warning, no justification, no notification, and they just got censored for no reason. And this can't happen if you obviously use decentralized storage solutions or decentralized social apps that are built on decentralized storage, because power belongs to the user, to the content creator, and shouldn't be censored by any middleman. And so we can make content unstoppable, and we can actually put the content back in the ownership of the user.
That's the dream.
We do that with Subsocial, another project and parachain in Polkadot ecosystem, where we worked, for example, on Grill Chat. Maybe you heard of it. They use Crust Network for that, but also Matters, Sockbay. Sockbay is a decentralized YouTube, or FriendsTube, also recently released their product. They're all building on Polkadot and all utilize Crust Network for their data.
These are the BD wins, folks. You know, this is, he's got to shout them out.
Yeah, sure. And let's look at some very specific use cases. So one thing is we worked on with Robonomics. That's our Crust Shadow Kusama network. And there we store machine data of those cute little machines. They're called Spot. there are robots from Boston Dynamics, and they collect a lot of different data, and all of this data will be automatically stored on Crust Network.
Cool.
And yeah, so that's one specific use case. Another use case is messenger chat backup applications. It's from XX Network. It's a privacy network built on Substrate, and they have a messenger application, and users can actually store the backup of their chat not just via Google Drive, iCloud, Dropbox, but also have the option to store it via Crust Network.
We have a question here. It's long. I will read it. Are Crust allowed to join other DHTs, distributed hash tables, from other IPFS ecosystems, like having a unique catalog and navigation system with Crust and IPFS Kubo, for instance, working together?
Very complex question. I'm probably not too technical enough to answer this with full confidence. I can say that Crust is totally native to the IPFS framework and network. So you can retrieve Crust data or data stored on Crust from any other IPFS endpoint as well. The same way, the other way around, we can retrieve data via our gateways or any data that's on IPFS, not just on our network, via our gateways. So I think the compatibility should be there.
Okay.
But yeah, this question is a little bit too detailed for me to give you
to follow up. Do we have a way to reach out to someone, or I would love to?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to reach out to my to our CTO.
Yeah. Get them on. No, we can.
Actually, let me copy paste this question maybe.
Perfect. Thanks.
You can see. Okay, cool. Maybe he will be quick, but it's already late in Singapore, I think.
Oh yeah, it's almost 11 p.m. their time.
But let's see. Maybe by the end of the session, I have an answer. Cool. Yeah. So many different things you can do with Crust, just to give you some inspiration of different use cases. And last but not least, the use case I want to show you is Crust Files.
Sure.
Crust Files is like a Dropbox-based application with an easy-to-use, intuitive interface. You can just upload your data via drag and drop. It's totally free to use. We have a freemium.
It looks like a nice UI. It looks like very familiar, kind of like not foreign.
Yeah, but that's what we wanted to achieve, to showcase our technology, that from user interface it still can be the same, but in the back end you actually have a secure decentralized storage. We have different features there, a public kind of folder, we have a vault where the data will be encrypted with client-side encryption.
Cool.
We, for example, have a pay-to-download feature, which is pretty cool. So you can upload, for example, a picture to Crust Files, and then you can say, I want to create a pay-to-download link. So then the file will be encrypted, and you can share the link. And if someone clicks the link, then he gets to a payment window, and he can pay like whatever you set as payment, like 0.1 Ethereum. And as soon as the user basically pays this 1.1 Ethereum, he can open and retrieve the data. Okay. So it's like a pay-to-download feature, just to showcase.
I have to say you're doing an incredible job. We've already convinced someone during the stream that this is the solution for them. So, hurrah. Yeah.
Great. What can we ask more for?
No, literally, this is the dream, right? I mean.
Yeah.
So cool.
And also here the URL, crustfiles.io.
Yeah,
if you want
let's pull that up just so folks can. Crustfiles.io.
Yeah, the one you're pulling up is something that's following after this.
I can put this one up too. So, so this is that. If folks want to check that out, and I will also put it in the chat so that we can quickly link to it.
Yeah, and there's no KYC. You can log in via Web3 authentication. So either via your MetaMask, you can use your the Polkadot extension.
Cool.
Crust wallet. You will see almost impossible for you not to get access. Cool. Then let's jump to one last thing I brought with me, and this is
Sure.
Crust Cloud. Crust Cloud is a very new product. We actually
Crust Cloud.
just released it today.
Okay. Oh, stop.
Actually today, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I feel so cool having an exclusive. We put it in the chat. Go check it out. This is so cool. Amazing.
Yeah, and this is something
What
very
is
revolutionary.
Tell me more.
It will redefine decentralized storage as we know it. And this is mainly because for the very first time, we will be able to treat our data and storage resources in the same way we treat all our other on-chain assets. Let's say our NFTs, let's say our tokens, our liquidity positions. For all of them, we have proof of ownership. All of them we can hold in our own wallet, in a non-custodial wallet. All of them we can transfer freely between accounts, and all of them we somehow can trade. So even my liquidity positions, I can trade. I can trade my NFTs, my tokens. So we have full control over it. And we do that now with storage. And we do that by introducing Web3 storage buckets.
Okay.
And Web3 storage buckets basically are NFT-based storage capacities that live on IPFS.
Okay.
And so basically what you can do is you can go to our NFT contract and you can mint a 10 gigabyte storage capacity. Or you can mint a 100 gigabyte or 1 terabyte, whatever you want.
Okay.
And yeah, let's pull up this slide. It's maybe better.
Yeah.
So you can mint the bucket straight from our contract. After minting the bucket, you will receive the bucket NFT to your wallet. And this NFT grants you ownership to access and to write to your storage capacity. And at the same time, this bucket, because it's like a normal NFT, you can treat it like a normal NFT, which means you can transfer it between accounts, including all rights and benefits of ownership. And you can also go to OpenSea and basically sell your bucket. Regardless if it's like a bucket that's filled with data or a bucket that's empty, you can go there and trade it like any other NFT.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is that it's also provided via Crust Network with all the advantages, all of our product features, the multiple replicas. It's truly immutable, and it's also very flexible because we offer different bucket types. At the moment, we provide the permanent bucket, which basically is a pay once and store forever.
Well, 100 years plus.
Yeah. Exactly. And soon we also that's what we launched in our go-to-market product. But soon we're also going to introduce renewable bucket, which is also like on a yearly subscription basis.
Sure.
Where you can go there and you can say, okay, I need one bucket for 1 year, or I want to extend it for 2 years, and so on.
Yeah, the pay-as-you-go model really is.
Yeah.
Cool. But as of today, we have the permanent.
Yeah.
Cool.
And actually, I would love to jump with you into the application itself.
I would love that. Are you kidding? Of course. Douglas, thank you for saying this is a great talk. Oh, we appreciate that feedback. Words of affirmation aren't my love language, or is my love language, so absolutely appreciate it. This is lovely, folks. I just think that you've done an awesome job of summarizing why we care about this, and why this storage solution is the way of the future. But then also understanding folks that are using it themselves and teams, like that's really helpful for people as well. So let's look at, and again, I want to shout this out that this is crustcloud.io, correct?
Yeah.
No, Crust. Yeah.
Correct.
Crust Files is what we saw at the beginning. Crust Cloud. And then I also have some docs, a link to that as well, if folks are wanting to, a developer always wants to get their hands dirty into the docs, so that's this as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Perfect. To give you a quick overview of how to put Crust Network into our portfolio.
Please. Yes, exactly. What I think folks are ready for.
What we did did right, or what we achieved so far with building our protocol stack, our decentralized physical infrastructure, is more the infrastructure as a service. This is like our protocol stack. This is our 1,700 nodes with over 700,000 terabyte of storage capacity. That's the infrastructure we have. And to utilize that, or to leverage that, and to provide easy solutions to builders and to developers to make sense out of this, we launched our product Crust Cloud, and which acts more as a platform as a service or software as a service product for decentralized storage resources and demands. And within this, we launched the Web3 buckets and the Web3 gateways, which is our commercial solution for decentralized storage. And we just went live today. Actually, we went live a week ago, but we announced it today.
Okay.
And
love that things are launching today. This is perfect timing.
Yeah. And just let's quickly connect with our MetaMask, for example.
We can't see that. I imagine you're not showing that, but I think you might only be showing like a win, but that's fine.
Oh yeah, my MetaMask pop-up won't be showing, I think.
Of course, but that's fine.
Oh wait,
we all
I know
should be familiar with
that.
No. You know what I mean? Like when you're only showing a particular window. Crust token available in Stella Swap.
Yeah.
We talked about token earlier. We're working on that. That's soon. PokeSwap Crust. Let's go. Okay, let me know when you're ready and I will pull it up. Okay, you want this?
No, you should see the screen.
We can. Yeah, so we're in.
Here already.
This is your bucket. Yep.
That's my bucket, which I minted from our contract. And I have an overview. I can see it's like a 10 gigabyte bucket. And it's used with 1.9 megabyte out of 10 gigabyte. I have 3 files. I see when it was created. I can pull up the metadata. I can pull up my IPNS link. I can view the NFT contract.
Douglas, you beat me to this question. You were saying that you use your MetaMask. Can I connect my Polkadot.js wallet?
For Crust files, yes. For Crust Cloud, for our proof of concept, not yet. It's as ERC 721, but we also will deploy to Polkadot very soon.
Douglas, you lead to a great. We should clarify when folks join the stream that, like, be warned, your roadmap will be informed based off of feedback. But I think it's like the most authentic way to get feedback from developers and users of like what people want. And so it's just like, just a heads up to the team, like, hey, Chris, we might have some new things we want to put. I mean, I imagine getting the Polkadot.js wallet like connected was already on your purview, but it validates that people really want it, I think. And I think that that's really valuable feedback.
Yeah, and in fact, we even have some applications in the Polkadot ecosystem that already utilize those buckets.
Exactly.
Even if they are on ERC 721 NFT at the moment. Like, for example, Grill Chat for Subsocial, we recently launched an article together where we explain how we utilize those buckets to store the chat backup or user history in those buckets. If you want to read it, check out our Medium.
Okay, we haven't linked that, but we should later on. Frank likes the UI, by the way, so.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and we can enter this bucket.
Okay.
And you can enter this bucket by either uploading any data from our desktop PC, or we can use different APIs to actually put data in our bucket totally automatically.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is exactly what I would expect to see in there, so that's cool. Mm-hmm. And then link to the docs, sure. Yeah, smart.
But let's mint a new bucket.
Okay.
I can say mint a bucket. And I told you we, at the moment, offer only the permanent bucket. So
but like, soon,
you pay once. Yeah. And this is the permanent bucket, you pay once, and you have storage basically guaranteed forever. And we also have different kind of bucket sizes. Basically, theoretically, we could scale them in any size if we want to. But we started out with those 3 different options. And then you choose your bucket, you go in the next step, and you go like a normal, let's say, minting process of another NFT. My MetaMask opened again that I have to confirm and sign.
Right.
I will get some different information.
I love, okay.
I get the IPNS name of the bucket, will be generated and published to IPFS. Then I can even customize my bucket itself a little bit.
Ooh, purple.
Okay. And then it basically creates all the metadata. It will be stored or prepared to be stored decentralized on Crust Network. And in the last step, I make the payment process.
Okay.
I'm going to skip the payment now, but I think you all know how that works.
Yeah.
And at the moment, we have we offer the storage, the permanent storage for $1 per gigabyte. Permanent storage.
Okay, good. So that was, remember, I think there were some folks asking that question, but that's helpful. Wow, that's awesome. This is so cool. I think we have a lot of folks that are enthusiastically like stoked to go try and to build. I think you're also, your audience is wide. This is, who doesn't need this, you know?
Yeah, and this is opening a lot of doors for new use cases with a lot of new benefits. Let's think about the decentralized social, the Facebook of tomorrow. When we upload our data to those platforms, then we upload it basically to the operator of the platform, and the operator again chooses a storage solution.
Yeah.
Like even if the platform is decentralized, if the platform operator uses AWS to store all the data, then like we still don't have user control,
right,
or user ownership. And in this case, we could assign a bucket to every user account. And when I upload my selfies or my videos, I don't store it and upload it to the platform operator itself. I upload it to my own bucket where I control the data, where I can transfer the data, and where I have full ownership of my content.
Yeah.
And the same with NFT collections. When I'm a creator, I want to upload a 10K collection. I don't want to upload it to OpenSea. I don't want to upload it to AWS. Why can't I upload it to my own bucket? And so I can upload it to my own bucket, have full ownership over it, and we'll never have to trust any third party.
Yeah, I mean, a perfect summary. Okay, Douglas has become my official question asker of the stream. Please join me in all future streams. Really appreciate it. Payment, always in ETH?
Nope. We will, at the moment, yes. Again, we just launched today.
But, of course, we're seeing this very early version, folks.
We will be adding at least one stable coin and also our own CRU token, because we have an ERC20 token also of our own token. Cool. So since this is on ERC20 at the moment, or ERC 721 to be correct as NFT contract. But again, we will branch out to Polkadot, to other ecosystems, and
we appreciate it.
Yeah.
And then uploading size limitations.
We are in this case we are limited by IPFS itself. IPFS has an upload limitation of 32 gigabytes, I think, per file.
Okay. Oh, and then this is a good question. Can I assign a DID to control a bucket?
Yeah, you could do that.
Absolutely.
You could do that. In fact, we also...
Great use case. Love that. Yeah.
We also talked with different DID projects, but there we come back often to the GDPR again, and the
sure.
So it's not so easy.
Of course.
But it's technically possible. It's if anything holds us back, then it's regulations again that require for geofencing or anything else.
Well, Jafar said it the best. And I think you said it first too as well. But this is the database for tomorrow. I really appreciate you showing and sharing all of this with us today. I think folks are really stoked to go play and experiment and try out their own particular use cases. Where can people reach out to you and your team to learn more after watching this? Because again, this video will live on YouTube. So hello to us in the future. I hope you're well, and thank you for watching this. We would love to, I'm sure there's a way for people to ask questions and build community within the Crust ecosystem, yes?
Yeah, sure. Feel free to either get in direct touch with myself I think I had my Twitter and my Telegram somewhere. If not, I can post it. We also are available via Discord and.
Okay, you have a Discord.
So all usual social channels, you can reach us anytime.
Awesome. Let me pull up some links that you all. Do you have a link to your Discord?
Yeah,
oh yeah, you got it. Okay. If data is considered a valuable commodity, then data storage should be considered a store of that. Love it. Okay, so follow on Twitter. Crust Network is where we should go. And you are what? Jesus in Crust? What was it?
I will put it. Oh wait,
what was your Twitter?
The Jesus Crust.
Oh, there's a the too. Okay, so the and then wait,
underline.
Was there an underscore Jesus Crust like that? So wait, you're locked into Crust forever then. Like this is your social media. You are declaring it loudly. This is
that's perfect.
Okay. Perfect. Yes, go pepper him with questions. So fun. This has been such a joy. And then of course also, yes, me too. This is truly one I will not forget.
没有，我在
Folks, thank
录
you so much for
屏，因为
joining
这个
me
下不下
this
来，
week. We
我就只能把它
stay
录
tuned.
下
Of
来，
course,
然
we'll
后再
have
发到 YouTube 上。
more great, presentations and whatnot.
因为这个
coming up
是
in the
在那
future.
个 LinkedIn 上
I
面
will
的，
see
它
you
没
in
有办法
Decoded.
直接下。
That is so exciting. That's very soon. And yeah, I really, as always, had so much
是
fun.
这边这
Folks,
个
thank you for
是
asking
我
your
们
questions.
跟
That
其
is
他的
truly
那
my
个
favorite
平
part
台一
about all of
起
this.
做的一个
Is
MA，
being able to hear from you
然后在
and
他
hear
们
your
的账
questions. I
号
hope
上。
that this was informative for you in regards to like what people are wanting. I think that is
因为
that's
它就
really
是一个
valuable
直
data.
播，
Hopefully,
就是我还去扒了他们这个网页后面的代码，可能就是 LinkedIn 他们自己的设置，直播就不能下，除非你是直接只传了一个视频。
Thanks to you, Lauren, as well, obviously.
Hey, I have a really fun job, right? Like this is what I get to talk about all day.
因为问了佑
Okay,
安，他
cool.
说他
I
之
will
前
see you
也
all
是
soon.
直接
I
录
believe
的
the。next episode that we have is someone from my friend Tarek from Parody is joining. We're talking about tooling. I'm super excited. See you then. Bye.
Bye.